and families. Texans aren't free to reject a politician who's taken away Medicaid and health care from what's already the most underinsured state in the nation.
Ooh, hold on, I got to fix the...
Texans aren't free to fire a politician for taking away federal
Hang
dollars for sake of giving his billionaire friends tax breaks. And Texans aren't free to reject the idea that children and families should be locked up in private, for-profit prisons, all just because they're seeking a better life and putting it on the dime and the backs of the American taxpayer. Young men and women all over Texas, and even in my community in DFW, they aren't free to dream just as I did of one day being a U.S. congressperson.
So we are covering this live. The Texas House of Representatives is supposed to vote today, soon I think, on this redistricting plan, which will change the congressional maps and most likely result in Republicans getting 5 more U.S. House seats in Texas. California and Governor Newsom have said that if Texas does this, they are going to try to redistrict in California and have 4 or 5 more Democratic seats. We don't know if that will be successful or not, that attempt. But we are going to bring you live coverage of this vote and show you I believe there are some Democrats talking about this right now in the House. So let me turn this up. I'm going to take some of your comments on the air too, but let's listen in.
You too have an oppressor. When Donald Trump asked for 5 more seats, your decision was made, and it was made at the expense of communities of color. Their political representation has been a target of this bill, and you're making that decision in your mind for political preservation. You made that decision, and you're making that decision out of fear. It's a political calculation. You are not free to be courageous and vote with your heart. One of the first times I ever came here, there was a mass, and the bishop gave a mass, and he said in Jewish times, men didn't make their decisions in their mind, they made them in their heart. Because then you could really tell what kind of heart a person had. And you may tell yourself that your heart is colorblind, but that's far from the reality of what these maps are. The intention of the map drawers, where is their heart? And for that matter, any member that votes for this map. If you truly believe in freedom and you believe in liberty, then you would believe in the principles of the American Revolution and the early Americans that fought because they understood and fought against taxation without representation. And you would vote no because that's exactly what this bill does. By voting yes today, you're trying to take away that American belief in the democratic process, and you put us on a path to dictatorship. And you're no better, and we're no better than the monarchy that we left behind. You want people to give up, and we won't. So now's the time to be brave and courageous. Now's the time to honor that pledge that we give every day that ends in justice for all. If we don't stand up for justice today, we will be on the same path where people are not heard, where their interests are not represented in their government, and where people will rise up and fight back. I will not give up on our trust in a pure American democracy because the Constitution is worth fighting for. The promises it provides are worth fighting for. The communities that we represent are worth fighting for. Para todos los que están escuchando en español, les digo una honra que hay aquí en esta Cámara de Representantes es que empezamos todos los días con una oración. Y hoy el pastor dijo, hay que dar gracias por América. Hay que dar gracias por la América donde la gente, donde el pueblo es libre, donde la gente puede vivir. Y ese mensaje fue para todos nosotros, todos los diputados, que América debe de ser un lugar donde la gente, donde el pueblo escoge sus representantes, no una elección donde ya sabemos quién va a ganar. Los Estados Unidos no se puede convertir a un país como el que dejamos porque venimos aquí por refugio, porque las promesas de la Constitución americana son diferentes de nuestros propios países. Aquí vivimos donde uno que es elegido tiene una responsabilidad al pueblo, no al revés. Y por eso le pido a todo el pueblo que ponga atención, que cuando ellos dicen que sus valores de ellos son más unidos a los de nosotros, esto y este rediseño de estas mapas es como nos quitan de la mesa que ya estamos. Nos quitan nuestras voces donde ya tenemos puesto, donde ustedes ya han votado por sus representantes, y con esta actuación de esta Cámara de Representantes nos dejan en silencio, nos quieren ver, no nos quieren escuchar, y ustedes son que va a hacer la diferencia y van a luchar para la democracia que merecemos. Por eso, miembros, les espero y les pido que voten no.
Thompson, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion that all of the speeches that have been given be reduced to writing and placed in the journal.
Members have heard the motion. Is there objection? Chair is none so ordered. Chair has Mr. Wu.
I'm very tired. It's been a very long session. I'm in the same clothes that I wore starting on Sunday night until now. I've been sleeping on the House floor with Ms. Collier for the last few days. I'm very tired. But I'm here to fight, and I'm here, and what keeps me going, what gives me strength, why we do this is not about Democrats. It's not about Republicans. It's not even about Texas. It's about you. We fight so hard because at the end of the day, this is about you and this is about us. Because America is about us. America was a place that God built to give the people a place of their own. A place that the people could decide what was good for them and what they needed. That's what this is really about. For everyone who's watching and you don't understand what everything's about, this is about you. Because over and over again, we have heard from people who have said, this is not working out for us. This American dream that we were told about is no longer functioning. Everything we've been told and told that we should believe in, and this is what this country's about, no longer applies. Growing up, I was taught that this was the place, the one place in the world where you could be anybody. You didn't have to have the right last name. You didn't have to have famous parents. All you needed to do was work hard, follow the rules, and you'll earn the American dream. And time again, we have seen Americans out there struggling and failing, and again and again and again. because the American dream no longer works for them. And it starts right here. This is why it doesn't work. This thing that we're doing, this body that we're in, this podium that I'm in front of, your problems start right here. And it is this issue that is the linchpin. You may not understand gerrymandering, you may not understand redistricting, but I hope you understand lying, cheating, and stealing. Because this is what people do. People like Donald Trump, people like the Republican Party of Texas, when they can't win, they cheat. The problem is that doesn't stop in this room. That doesn't stop at just politics. You end up with elected officials who no longer care what you have to say, no matter where you live and what community you represent, whether you're black or Latino or white or Asian, it doesn't matter. They say nice things to your face. They say they care about you. And they take care of themselves. And they take care of their buddies. And they take care of their donors. And they take care of their king. Today, we had an opportunity to do something that the people actually wanted. Democrats and Republicans say, we should release the Epstein files. One of the greatest scandals in American history, one of the single largest incidents of human trafficking. Such a shameful act that our own government has helped to cover up because the people implicated are the wealthy and the powerful. People in Congress, people out of Congress, but people who control this nation and decide the rules for us. We had a chance to put on an amendment that would simply say, if you're going to do this dirty thing in the darkness, if you're going to do this despicable act quietly, while you hope no one is watching, we should at least have some sunlight. We should at least have an ounce of sunlight to replace the ton of darkness that this puts upon us. And all it would have said was, if Donald Trump really wants this so badly, then condition it on his release of the Epstein files. I know people are laughing. Mr. Vassoud, Mr. Kane, when they went up to argue their point of order, were giggling about it. Repeatedly saying, oh, make sure you put in there that Epstein didn't kill himself. Because they know that Americans across the board care about this, whether they're Democrats or Republicans or nothing at all. They want transparency, they want accountability, and they want justice. I remember when Republicans used to say, release the Epstein files. And we'd talk about how damning it was and how important it was. And all of a sudden, they really, really don't want to vote on it. So much so that they're willing to concoct a point of order for us to twist and bend our rules to get it struck down. That's fine. The people know. You had an opportunity to do what you promised, to do what you told people you would do, and you chose not to. You went to great lengths to not to. The United States Congress, with a 2-seat Republican majority, intentionally, purposely left early so they could be out until September so they wouldn't have to vote to release it. And you complain about us being gone for a couple of weeks. Congress is gone till September so they don't have to release the Epstein files. At the end of the day, this is about whether or not we will have a government that actually listens to us and actually does what we say. Because every time people come out and say, we want education, and they say, well, here's some books we're gonna ban. Every time we say, where is our health care? Why are people going bankrupt because somebody broke their leg? And they say, well, we're gonna beat up on trans kids for you. Every time people ask, what happened to all the good jobs that we used to have? And they'll blame abortion or divorce or I don't know what else. Because whatever they want to do is they don't want to answer to the people. They don't want to answer why aren't they doing what they said that they would do. The answer is right here at this podium on this issue. Because when you redistrict in a way that you can make it so you don't care who the voters are anymore, then you won't care who the voters are anymore. My fellow Americans, if you want to take your country back, if you want to go back to a nation that education actually provided a pathway to success, where hard work and following the rules actually meant something, where just because you were rich and powerful does not mean you get to evade justice, then start fighting. Start here. Texas will have to go to the courts. But California, New York, Illinois, Michigan, and many other states, look at what's happening here. Look carefully. This is the future, right here, if you do not act now. What Texas looks like, this process, this division, this partisanship, and most importantly, leaders who simply do not give a damn what you need or want anymore. If you do not stand up today and push back, the American dream will be dead and our democracy will fall.
Mr. Hunter to close.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Rose, for what purpose?
does the gentleman yield for a few questions?
Gentlemen,
Not
yield
at
for
this
questions?
time.
Not at this time.
Okay. At any time?
If you've walked back, maybe.
If I what?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I am going to address the body. I'm not calling people out by their names. We passed House rules that provided decorum, not shots at individual members in their names. Seems to be a little bit of a contradiction that we're all supposed to be respectable, but yet the opposition throws out our names. So let me make a few comments. Why are we here? Because congressional redistricting is allowed. Why are we here? One reason is the U.S. Supreme Court said the following. It says, we recognize that politics and political considerations are inseparable from districting and apportionment. To hold that legislators cannot take partisan interests into account when drawing district lines would essentially countermand the framers' decision to entrust districting to political entities. The law allows it. Now, we have just heard a couple of hours from our Democrat opposition, and everyone that spoke was with the Democrat Party. I'm standing with Republican members. And what's wrong with Republicans standing up and Republicans stepping up and Republicans being honest, which you don't like, which is Supreme Court says we can use political and partisanship to do congressional redistricting. We will not agree on this issue. We will push forward as the votes have been all day long. The votes today have followed the Supreme Court, which is partisanship preferential. And yes, we have a congressional plan. What's the difference to the whole world listening? Republicans support it, Democrats do not. And that's the bottom line. I've heard a lot of comments, and I will tell you, I don't take them personally. That's how, and the reason I dress this way. These are tough issues. I feel like sometimes that I'm a piñata with no candy, just hit. But I respect all of you. We may not agree, and we won't agree on this issue. Absolutely not. But I do want to say this to my opposition, and you will not like this. I was told by a very long-time Democrat, South Texan, who said, "Todd, I want you to know I'm not a walker, I'm a stalker." And I will tell you, I don't like walkouts. And you can tell me every reason in the world you did. But you left from 17 to 19 days. And most of the comments I've heard could have been handled, discussed, or mutually involved this House within that time period. You chose to leave, or some of you did. That's your choice. We chose to stay. That was our choice. So, members, I want everybody to know this is the plan. It has been supported. It has council approval, and it absolutely should pass. And I want to thank the Republican members for standing with me. This may be one of the very few times, Dean Craddock, that we've had all of us up here together. And even though he's a good opponent, Chris Turner has now placed me into the old club with you over this particular bill. I'm glad to take questions.
Mr. Speaker,
Calling for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman yield for questions?
You know,
He yields for
Yes,
Yield for
didn't hear.
questions.
Okay, I didn't hear a correct answer. Chairman, are you aware that during slavery, blacks fled? Are you aware that during the slavery times, blacks fled? They ran away.
I can't hear you very well.
Are you aware that when there was slavery times, blacks fled? During the Nazi times, Jewish people fled. They fled their oppressor.
Mr. Speaker, I noticed that Republicans don't get help.
The chair advises the guests that the rules of the House strictly prohibit demonstrations or outbursts by visitors in the gallery. If there are additional demonstrations or outbursts in the gallery, the chair will order the Sergeant at Arms to clear the gallery under the House's constitutional authority to prevent obstruction of its proceedings.
Chairman,
Yes.
this is a very powerful visual that you have up here that you
Well,
just
it's-
spoke about.
And very good, because you all just did it. It's time the Republicans get to do it.
Absolutely. You do it all the time. You all do it all the time. But let me just ask you some questions because I think that this is an important visual for Texans, the voters of Texas, because our crowd of gang looks smaller than yours. And so I thank you for showing that visual.
Well, it's
'cause
88
it doesn't
to
look as
62,
diverse.
correct. It's
Your-
88 to 62.
Yeah, but your crowd does not reflect the diversity of Texas.
Now I think we're
What is your
avoiding
understanding
the bill
of the
right now.
requirements? What is your understanding?
Sorry, Denise.
What is your
Katrina?
understanding of the requirements of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act?
Couldn't hear. Would you repeat?
Yes, sir. What is your understanding of the requirements of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act?
I don't have all the elements here, but the Voting Rights Act needs to be followed. Section 2 is one of the biggest sections in there. As I've told you, just like, I hate to tell all of you, but there's a lot of photos of the scripts that were on your phones from organizations with lawyers out in the hallway. But we go to council, we present bills, and if they have approved them and tell us that we have followed these legal positions, we do. And that has been done.
I'm sorry, I don't think that you answered the question.
I sure did.
What is your understanding?
I just told you that. Again, I'll repeat again. I do not have all of the elements on the Voting Rights Act in
Well, what
Section
elements do
2.
you have?
No.
What
I
elements do you have?
Mr. Speaker, can I ever get a chance to finish my answers? I thought we had ruled that a question and I get to answer.
Members, make sure that you allow each other to finish the question and answer so the members in the gallery can hear the debate.
Thank you. Repeating, do I have all of the Voting Rights Act criteria in front of me? No. Do the lawyers that I've worked with? Yes. Can I go make a call and get it to folks? Yes. You can do the same thing. Section 2 in the Voting Rights Act is what has been looked at in redistricting. Petaway has changed the law. Rucho has changed the law. Many of you, Representative, are talking about 2021. I do get a kind of an interesting deal, everybody. You complain about 2025 and tell me 2021 is okay, but you sued me on 2021. I don't know which way to go. But my point is, do I have them right here? No. But do I feel, you just asked me, do I have the elements? I told you.
I'm asking what you understand it to mean.
I told you, I understand. You want me? Let me go back to the beginning of the speech that I gave that.
No,
to
I just want to know.
Well, no. You asked.
I
I read it
Okay.
to you at the very beginning. This was done when we started today.
Okay.
Another important law that we must follow is a federal law known as the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Okay. Although race cannot be the predominant factor in drawing maps, Section 2 of that act prohibits enactment of any plan that restricts minority citizens from having an opportunity to elect their preferred candidate of choice in certain circumstances if they exist. That was my knowledge, and I placed it out at the very beginning of the debate.
And so that's your understanding?
That's my general understanding.
Well, thank you.
There's a lot more.
Thank you for.
And you can go into the various cases, but
Did you perform?
RUCHA, too, involves the voting rights along with Petaway.
Did you perform any racially polarized voting analysis in drawing these maps?
Okay. I have been asked that question. I will answer it again. Did Todd Hunter personally? No. Did Todd Hunter go to a law firm that performed all review? The answer is yes.
And what is that law firm?
Their name is Butler Snow, which was stated on the microphone a few hours ago.
Okay. And they performed the racially polarized voting analysis in drawing the maps?
I went to the law firm, told them what the goal was. They prepared. If anybody has the specifics, they have it.
But did they perform any racially polarized voting analysis in drawing the maps?
Second time, I told you I have no personal knowledge, but I'm sure the law firm performed everything they needed to do.
What did they need to do?
Well, I hope I'm not the one having to tell law firms what to do, but if they know anything about redistricting, they know about Petaway, they know about Rucho, they know about the Voting Rights Act, they also know about the other Fifth Circuit as well as U.S. Supreme Court. My view is you would go through all of those areas and you rely on the firms, just like your groups are. Some of the ones that you said you represented, I know who your lawyers are. And you go to them, they perform analysis, and they gave you the scripts on your phone today. All I did was go to a law firm, and they orally gave me my information. And then I prepared it out. Did I personally go to everything? No. That's why I rely on professionals who can give me that detail.
You make assumptions, and you know what they say when people make an assumption.
Well, I mean, an assumption could mean anything. So
I know,
don't
but
know
you
what you're talking
assumed that I
about.
went with some lawyer.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You made an assumption about what I did with a
No,
lawyer.
I did not make it about you.
Did you perform any electoral performance analysis in drawing the majority-minority districts in this map?
Same answer that I've just given you, same answer that I have given everybody. We went to a law firm who had the expertise. They prepared everything that I was told they needed to do.
Is that a no?
I told you personally I did not.
Thank
and
you.
I went to a law firm who performed it and gave me the information.
Besides the law firm, did anyone else involved in the creation of this body, of this map, perform that type of analysis?
That I don't know.
The evidence at trial at the League of United Latin American Citizens versus Abbott case, the one that's in El Paso, was that the Attorney General's office has a system to perform racially polarized voting analysis. Was that used at any point on your map before today?
Personal knowledge, I don't know.
And you said that Butler Snow was the...
Butler Snow is the law firm.
And you don't know if they did that type of analysis?
I don't know what they did, but I'm sure they did everything they needed to do.
All right. And this Butler Snow law firm, are they your personal lawyer?
Okay. As I explained earlier in the day, Butler Snow is a law firm that helped in 2021. Because you all sued us in 2021, they continue their representation of me. With congressional redistricting, they were engaged again, and then I was listed because I was already in an attorney relationship with them. So it continues from 2021 to today, but the answer is yes, they represent me.
And do you pay for them with your
No.
own campaign money, or do
No,
you pay for
I
them
don't
with
pay
personal
them.
money?
I don't pay them.
Who pays for them?
I don't know who specifically pays them, but there's a contract that pays the attorney relationship with me and others.
So
That's already been brought up in the committee hearings.
Oh, I'm just asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're asking, I noticed the people that know this aren't at the back mic.
Well, there may be a lot of people who don't know a lot of things.
Well, that's why we're
So
answering your
the
questions.
2021
I just want to know who you're getting all your feedback up there on your notes. But
Well,
I'm
I
not
wrote
going to
them.
ask you who.
I wrote them myself.
And I won't ask some of the members who took photos of your scripts to disclose that too.
Okay.
And just remember,
Is it your
Representative,
belief?
in
Is it your belief?
2021,
Sure.
I was the chairman of redistricting. There sure are a lot of you in the back that came and asked me to help you.
Well, that's how
And
you
now
made it.
today,
Wait. That's how you have
now
it.
today, I'm getting an attack So I guess it was okay for you to ask for my help in 2021 and then today attack us.
Well, when we're not included in the process and you
You
control
left
the
for
whole
17 to 19 days. How could you be included?
Again, when
Again, that's correct. Again, in
when
2021, you did also.
when you oppress, when you are oppressed, you try to flee the oppressor.
We
Is it your
disagree.
belief that you can be fairly
We disagree
confident?
with you.
Is it your belief that you can be fairly confident how a district will vote, Republican or Democrat, by the racial percentage
No.
of the citizen
I
voting
don't-
age population?
No, I do not
in that
think.
district.
No, you didn't. I get to finish.
Oh, I had to finish
You
my
asked
question.
a question. No, you didn't. You asked me. Nobody knows who's going to win an election. That's why I disagree with most of your all arguments. That doesn't mean a Republican or a Democrat are going to win. You have new criteria that may give people some energy to run and maybe some areas they can do better in, but it doesn't say who's going to win. None of us can predict who's going to win an election.
Then why are you changing the maps now?
Well, one of the reasons is for partisan reasons under Rucho and to give Republicans an opportunity where they haven't in the past.
The composition of CD 30 under the proposed plan creates a black majority citizen voting age population district in Dallas County. Is that correct?
Congressional 30, to respond to you, the political performance is unchanged. There was no black CVAP in 2021. Now it is a black CVAP in 2025. So everybody has the information. The black CVAP in 30 is 50.41%. The political performance is still Democrat.
Did you or the map drawer perform any analysis to determine if, under the currently enacted plan, black voters could elect their preferred candidates in the current CD 30 as it is composed?
If they did, I have no personal knowledge.
But did you?
I've told you before, Todd Hunter has no personal knowledge. The law firm would have committed and practiced the analysis.
Did you or the map drawer perform any analysis to determine if, under the currently enacted plan, black voters could elect their preferred candidates in the current Congressional District 33?
Are you talking about 2021? Because you said currently enacted.
Well, my questions have been about current.
The gentleman's time has
Mr.
expired.
Speaker,
It's called for what purpose?
I move to extend the time for.
The motion to extension of time, this will be the first extension of time. There is objection. Record vote. Clerk, please ring the bell.
Now let's say no. No.
They're voting on whether to extend the question time. That's what they are doing. Voting on whether to extend the time for questions. Again, we're going to see the Texas House vote and presumably approve this new Trump-backed redistricting.
Have all members voted?
Which would, hold on.
54 ayes, 83 nays.
I
The
see they're
motion for
scared.
extension of time fails.
Move passage.
So now they're going to vote, I think, on the
The
bill.
question occurs on passage to engrossment of House Bill 4. This is a record vote. Clerk, ring the bell.
I believe
Serves
they're
100
now
voting
voting
aye.
on the bill. I think they're voting on redistricting right now. I think it's the
Have
vote
all members
right now.
voted?
Is this the vote right now?
Have all members
know.
voted?
Possibly.
88 ayes, 52 nays. House Bill 4 passes to engrossment.
I think
Members,
they
it
just
is the
passed
intent of the chair to adjourn briefly to begin a new legislative day.
I believe
the call
they just
remains in
passed
place
it.
and the doors remain locked. Mr. Guerin moves that the House adjourn until.
I think they just passed it. That fast. Doesn't take long.
Until 5:25 today. Is there objection? Record vote has been recorded. There is objection. This will be a record vote. Clerk, ring the bell.
I think the Texas House has just passed that redistricting plan. I know it was pretty fast.
If all members voted, there being 87 ayes and 52 nays, the motion prevails. And the House stands adjourned until 5:25.
Now let me just confirm this. I just want to confirm it, but my understanding is that they just passed the redistricting plan in the Texas House. But I'm trying to find just extra confirmation for you. And then we'll talk about it. Yeah, the Texas House has passed the new map. The new map has passed in the Texas House. Now, I don't know if we're going to get any statements from anyone or anything, so I got to keep an eye on this. And we'll talk about this. So again, this was a Trump-backed plan to redraw maps of the congressional seats in Texas so that more, presumably 5 more of the representatives from Texas in the U.S. House would be Republicans. Normally, with redistricting, normally it happens once every 10 years after the census. This breaks with precedent because this is a state doing it in the middle of a decade when there has not been a change of party control. So Texas has passed this, the House has passed this, and that was the last barrier, the big barrier that I'm aware of. Maybe the governor has to sign it now or whatever, but he'll do that. Now California, under Gavin Newsom, governor, Democratic state, has said that if Texas does this, they will move forward with their own redistricting plan in California, which they're going to try to redraw their maps to give Democrats 5 more seats. I'm seeing a report from a Texas reporter, Bayless Wagner, who says Texas Republicans' redistricting map initially passes the House after 7 hours of debate. I don't know that they need any more voting on it. I believe that's it. Let me get some confirmation for you. Yes, the Texas House has approved the map. Oh, it needs one more procedural vote. It needs one more procedural vote. According to the San Antonio Express News, they did just pass it 88-52, and there is one more procedural vote needed before it is sent to the Senate in Texas, who will pass it. Yes, so what's going to happen, according to Fox 4 reporter Stephen Dial, is the House is going to come back shortly to fully pass the bill. Okay? So it's not, they have to do one more vote on it, but they have taken the initial vote. Watch, we're going to see the second vote right here, I think. Hold on.
The House will come to order. Members, please register. Have all members registered? Have all members registered? Being 138 ayes and 0 nay, or 138 present, a quorum is present. The following announcement, the clerk will read the announcements.
The Select Committee on Disaster Preparedness and Flooding will meet today upon final recess or during bill referral period if permission is granted in room 1W.14 Agricultural Museum in a formal meeting to consider pending referred and committee business.
Mr. Rosenthal, for what purpose?
I'll wait for the HB4 author.
Mr. Hunter, Mr. Dutton, for what purpose?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
State your inquiry.
Has the bill passed now?
On second reading.
Yes. Does that mean it's passed?
On second reading. It is not finally passed.
So, parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Dutton, state your inquiry.
So, does the notice on call say final passage of the bill?
Mr. Dutton, the call on the House, the motion made by the body was for final passage.
Sorry, I was
The
muted.
note says final passage.
I'm sorry?
I'm looking at the note. I didn't see final passage on the.
They're talking
note that
about whether
people
it's
were given,
passed,
the notice
and they
that
have a
people
final
were given.
vote coming up.
Mr. Dutton, I cannot hear you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry, Mr. Dutton.
One of the notices I saw about being on the call didn't say final passage.
The call was made, the motion by the body was until it's finally completed on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Hunter for a motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to direct the chief clerk when engrossing HB4 to incorporate into Article 2 of the bill the text of the census geography for each district that describes the plan as finally passed by the House.
Members, you've heard the motion. There is a record vote requested on all votes today. The clerk will ring the bell. Show Mr. Hunter voting aye.
I don't know if this is the final vote. There's a bit of, you could see that one of the members was a bit confused. So there's got to be
Have
one
all
more vote.
members voted?
But I don't
Have
know
all
if this
members
is the one.
voted?
We'll see.
89 ayes, 49 nays. The motion prevails. Chair lays out on third reading House Bill 4. The clerk will read the bill.
Oh, this is it. So they're about to have the final vote on this redistricting.
HB number 4 by Hunter relating to the composition of the districts for the election of members of the United States House of Representatives from the state of Texas.
Mr. Hunter to explain the bill.
Thank you. Members, again, we are now on third reading of HB4, and I'll take questions.
Ms. Rose, for what purpose?
Mr. Speaker, will the gentleman yield?
Gentlemen yield for questions?
Yes.
Thank
Yields
you.
for questions.
Yes, thank you. Chairman Hunter, I just want to talk to you a little bit about coalition districts. Which districts in the 2021 map were coalition districts?
I can't recall.
What do you understand coalition districts are?
Well, if you'll go to Petaway, which we discussed on second reading about coalition districts, It will give you coalition districts as well as crossover districts. Coalition districts, as you're aware, are when, let's say, two minority groups are able to combine together. And what this says is you can have a coalition district, but you cannot use it to violate Section 2.
So, so it's your view that coalition districts are illegal? Illegal?
Well, I don't know if I can say they're legal. They are
illegal.
a term that was used prior to 2024. With the Petaway decision, I'm not sure exactly how they'd be legally categorized, but the terminology is still used.
Okay. So which coalition districts did you dismantle in the map that you're passing?
Well, I didn't go at coalition districts. I had the lawyers come up with 5 seats and enhance the Republican performance. And that's what we did. I didn't go at a coalition. I was looking at voter, basically citizen voting and voter age population.
So while you were doing that, did it leave any coalition districts in the maps from 2021?
That I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sure.
Mr. Rosenthal, for what purpose?
Does the gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman yield for questions?
Yes.
He yields for questions.
Thank you, Chair Hunter. Why was no public testimony allowed for this committee substitute plan C2333?
I don't know because I'm not the chairman or vice chairman.
Can you explain how the public input that was collected at the field hearings is reflected in this map
Yes.
that we have today?
There was testimony on Austin to San Antonio, and there was discussion about how long it went in, why there wasn't more in one area or not. That's one of the areas that we've heard. We also heard at the several public hearings, and so that everybody knows there's a difference between compact and packed and cracked. And in those hearings, there was a lot of discussion of folks talking about it's better to be compact in the districts. Those variables were included, and I gave that information to the lawyers from the hearing.
Can you explain why a map proposal was not made available to the public at the field hearings, the 3 field hearings that we had?
No, I don't.
It was made clear by both the House and Senate chairs that the map proposal was drawn by outside consultants through the Butler Snow law firm. Why wasn't the map available for the public to view and comment on at that time?
So I didn't hear could you read the first part of your question?
Sure. It was made clear by yourself numerous times today and in committee that the map proposal was drawn by outside consultants through the Butler Snow law firm. Why wasn't that map available for the public to view for those field hearings?
First, just to clarify how you said that, Butler Snow, as we've talked about today, is the law firm.
Yes.
Whether the individual lawyers, they had consultants, I do not know that. Why it wasn't produced until after the Arlington hearing, is that what you're asking?
I'm asking why it was not produced until after all of the public hearings.
It wasn't Arlington the last public hearing?
Austin, Houston, Arlington, yes.
Yeah. That I don't know. I was not asked to be the author of the bill until Tuesday after the Arlington hearing.
I see, thank you. Why was public testimony limited to only 5 hours in each of the field hearings?
I do not know because I'm not the head of that committee.
Okay, so at the limit of possibility, which of course we can't operate at that, If you have 5 hours, a maximum of 150 people could speak if we were going in perfect order with no breaks, right? If each one had 2 minutes.
Well, you know, I'll rely on your math, but they also had a portal. They could also bring in written testimony. I believe the chairman set up a system where people could provide written information. In fact, many of us got written information, so it wasn't just limited to oral testimony. Plus, you did have, I think Zoom was set up at one of them, but you had participating and you could then turn in writing.
But you would agree the math says if you had 5 hours for public testimony, for people to actually speak, the maximum number would have been 150 in each hearing.
I said I'm relying on your math as
Very
an
good.
engineer.
And so for the last hearing where we actually had a map to look at, 10 hours, that would have been a max of 300 people if you accept the math.
I will rely on you as a House member if you've done the math.
Do you know how many witnesses registered for the bill's companion in Houston?
At the Houston hearing?
Sorry, in the House hearing. So when we had the bill in front of us in the House, do you know how many people registered?
I do not.
It was around 500. Do you know how many people registered against the filed map?
I don't.
It was 473. Do you know how many were in favor?
I don't.
3. It seems that the vast majority of Texans are not in favor of this redistricting. Can you remind us of why we're here if it's not to serve the people of Texas?
Well, I disagree with you. We had hearings. You didn't mention what was brought up earlier today. I believe your party had field officers, at least in print, and robos going out getting people to the hearing. Now that sounds like people are driving people to the hearing to oppose. That was in print. 2, even if they did, I think it is constructive to have hearings to hear folks. I also think it's constructive when members are present to meet with us. And I also think it's constructive that the more we're together as a body, like you just said, we can get things done very, very well. So I believe that we did have the current and good operation. And I don't know why the numbers were the way they were, but I'm not surprised. I've been to many hearings where the opposition comes out, not necessarily the support. Lots of that. That's nothing unusual to me.
A few proponents of this map have cited population increase as a reason to redistrict. Can you remind us of what data was used to redraw this map? Was it anything to do with population increase?
Could you, it echoes, could you repeat that question one more time?
Could you tell us if population increase data or population numerical data was used to draw the map in terms of the change in the number of population?
As I stated when we were voting on the bill earlier, all the data, all the information that was in the creation of the details were done by council or whoever they involved. Todd Hunter does not have personal knowledge of that, but relied on council.
So, had nothing to do with any new official census data, right?
That I don't know. I don't know if there's estimated census out there. I know there's a lot of trend data out there. I personally do not know the specific data.
Got it. Do you think it's fair to voters to have their congressional districts constantly changed?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, first of all, there's nothing that prevents redistricting to be continuing.
That's true. So in the theoretical limit,
but I hadn't finished.
You could redraw the districts in front of every single election if we go down this path. Is that true? Theoretically.
Theoretically, I doubt it because I don't think practically you could. But I do believe there is nothing that bars redistricting to be taken up at different times. We're not held to a 10-year standard. That's incorrect. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean you're not able to do it.
So I'll point out, do you realize that this whole process has taken you all less than 30 days? And so you can admit to the possibility that this could be done in front of every single election if you think there's a possibility you'll lose.
You know, what happens, my Vice Chairman. I just don't know.
Mr. Speaker. Now, for what purpose? Does the gentleman yield for a few questions? The gentleman yield for questions? He yields for questions. Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to try to go through these quickly for time. I want to talk about CD 35. What is the specific purpose of creating CD 35 with a Hispanic citizen voting age population of 51.6%?
So your question is, why was it created?
Right, with that, what I'll call a razor-thin margin. What is the purpose?
I don't know what the purpose is on the margin, but this was under the Supreme Court, one of the districts that could be Republican, and so they used partisanship in it.
Do you know if CD 35, with a Hispanic citizen voting age population of 51.6%, was created to comply with the Voting Rights Act?
All right, you're talking about 35?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody knows Hispanic CVAP in 2021 was 4586. In this bill, it is 5157. So we increased it 5.71 change. And I don't know if that was the council's goal, but I'm sure they used all this information to create it.
So to that point, just need to ask, do you know the purpose of the geographic changes to CD 35? It was moved out of Travis and I-35, out of Kyle and Buda.
So this is one of the ones where the vice chairman just asked. We heard testimony in the hearings about Austin to San Antonio. And this is one of the ones that was suggested we may want to take a look at this area because it goes all the way down. And so I am sure that was one of the factors that was taken into 35, and it's now a new Hispanic CVAP majority district. And Republican does performance increase, absolutely.
Do you know whether or not, when approaching, let's call it the current or previous version prior to this map, the previous version of CD 35, when I say previous, I mean the one that is now, before these maps might be implemented, certainly hope not. But do you know if that district was required or protected by the Voting Rights Act?
Do I know? Well,
whether the current configuration of CD 35.
I understand.
Okay.
The law changed since 2021. That's what we've been saying throughout the day. So the law has changed, and we're able to use different elements and information than we've had in the past. In 2021, I cannot recall here exactly how some of these were created. The problem that I have with your question is then your side filed a lawsuit that is pending in El Paso. And so I don't know what's being determined there.
Understood. You've mentioned some of the conversations you had in committee. You've mentioned that the law has changed since 2021. Are you saying that the current version of CD 35 is a replacement for the previous version? And when I say current, I'm saying, are you saying that the proposed version of CD 35 is a replacement
for the CD35 that we have now?
I don't know about the word replacement, but I've been very upfront. This is a absolutely brand new created Republican partisan supported performing district. 9, 28, 34, 35.
Thank you, Chairman.
Dutton, for what purpose?
Would the gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman,
Sure.
for questions? Yield for
Absolutely.
questions.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Now, as I understand it, the changes that you're in this bill come about as a result of a law change in 2021.
I'm not sure your question. 2021, we had redistricting. It is challenged in federal court. 2025, we are presenting a new congressional plan that allows 5 additional Republican performing partisan seats.
But that's the result you said, I thought you said, of a law change in 2021.
No, I said one of the elements that is being looked at since 2021 were court cases.
And that is, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that results in this bill, essentially.
I'm not sure that's what results in the bill, but I will say that is an element of this bill.
So what else happened between the last redistricting and this bill that causes you comfort to make these changes?
Well, number one, in 2024, the Petaway case was decided. And there they said Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act does not authorize separately protected minority groups to aggregate their populations for purposes of a vote dilution claim, and it does not require political subdivisions to draw precinct lines for these particular groups. So this changed a lot of the law that happened in 2021.
And
the Rucho case, which was before 2021, 2019, has been reviewed and studied since that time, and then it, along with Petaway, for partisan redistricting, has become very strong on the law circles.
Or at least it changed the law. I mean, you're saying strong, but it essentially changed the law.
I agree.
In regards to that. Well, you know, I find that interesting, but certainly I want to compliment you. I wish you all had been around for quite some time, because are you aware of Brown versus Board of Education?
I'm aware of it.
And you know, it was 1956 case, right?
It's a long time ago case. Yes.
Right, and I was in elementary school when that came down, and you know when they finally implemented it? I was in college. And so if they could have done it with the same speed that you all are doing this, we might have a different conversation right now. And I just want to thank you for being able to change the whole concept of all deliberate speed.
Mr. Speaker,
Ms. Wiener, for what purpose?
will the gentleman yield for questions?
Yes.
Does the gentleman yields for questions about 15 seconds?
Representative Hunter, I'd like to know what your constituents in Nueces County have in common with mine in Buda and Kyle.
Because you're inaccurate. I've heard that all day about Port Aransas. Port Aransas is about 15.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the gentleman's time.
There's a motion to extend the time. There is an objection. A record vote has been requested on all motions. All those in favor of extending time vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. The clerk will ring the bell.
They're having a
Show
vote
Mr.
on
Hunter
whether to
voting
extend
no.
question time.
Show Mr. Morgan voting no. Show Mr. Jones of Dallas voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? There being 52 ayes and 84 nays,
No
the
extension of
motion
question.
fails.
Are they going to vote on the bill now?
Mr.
There's
Morgan,
one
for
more
what
vote on the
purpose?
bill.
Yes, I'd like to ask that all the conversation regarding House Bill 4 from the yesterday be reduced to writing. That includes Ms. Pearson, Ms. Hickland, and Mr. Spiller.
Mr. Morgan, that request has already been addressed and will be reflected in the journal.
Okay, thank you.
They might be taking the final vote now. We'll see.
The chair recognizes Ms. Gonzalez of Dallas in opposition.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Canales, for what purpose?
to come and clean up the last request, can we just have all of it today, yesterday, every day regarding HB4?
That request has already been made, Mr. Canales. The chair recognizes Ms. Gonzalez of Dallas in opposition to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members. I rise today in fierce opposition to HB4 and for what it represents for my community and the Latino communities across Texas. This body, this legislature, spends a lot of time demonizing my people. Many of you even campaign on it. Latinos, whether in North or South Texas, whether they are first-generation citizens or can trace their lineage back to the founding of this state, have been attacked consistently by their government for as long as Texas has existed. And here we are again, being forced to sit through it once again, in a manner that is not just unjust, but inconsistent with our U.S. Constitution. This map doesn't just draw new lines. It draws a painful and familiar conclusion that our voices don't matter, that our communities can be sliced up and diluted and ignored, that we can be visible in the labor force and the tax rolls, but invisible when it comes to representation. In Dallas, neighborhoods with large Latino populations, places like Oak Cliff, where I live, Bachman Lake, parts of Pleasant Grove, are being carved apart. Precincts are being split block by block, families put into different districts, communities divided. These are not random changes. They are calculated erasures of political strength, and we see it for what it is. And it hurts communities like mine, but that's nothing new, I guess, with this body. You've heard these stories before from this very mic. Mexican Americans suffered through La Matanza and La Hora de Sangre in the early 20th century, where thousands were killed in state-sanctioned lynchings. It took the courage of one man, J.T. Canales, the only Mexican American in this House at the time, to investigate, to speak truth to power, and to demand change. The violence never stopped. It just changed form. It became regulatory, it became legislative, literacy tests, English-only ballots, Juan Crow laws passed right here in this chamber that sought to suppress our voice under the guise of governance. And the legacy lives on. In 2023, this legislature passed SB 4, the Show Me Your Papers bill. It encouraged racial profiling, it encouraged vigilante justice, it stripped away local control and allowed fear to settle like a fog over our immigrant neighborhoods. And just this year, families across Texas saw ICE detain and deport people who were American citizens. Again, American citizens, because of faulty records or because a brown face simply seemed suspicious. The result was the same: families shattered, communities silenced, trust destroyed. So today, when you present yet another plan to divide and weaken us through redistricting, understand this: we've seen this playbook before. Today we endure attacks that would have felt like home in the era before the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. This state's history of racism, of violence, of shameful policy is important and relevant today because these policies become cultural norms and standards when our or my representation is limited or erased. We are being told again this isn't about race, that these maps are fair, that communities like mine are not being targeted. But when supporters of this bill come to this mic or the back mic or get on social media and say, we aren't demonizing anyone, or I love having Latinos in my district, I want you to remember the words spoken by their own party's chosen leader, the same man that they openly support. Quote, I don't know if you call them people in some cases. They're not people. They're poisoning the blood of our country. And members, that's not neutrality, that's not accidental, that's a narrative. And it's the same narrative that justifies cracking apart Latino neighborhoods in Dallas so that their political power won't grow. It's the same narrative that tells us our concerns don't matter, that our voices are too loud, and our representation is optional. But we aren't going anywhere. We will keep telling the truth, we will keep calling out injustice, and we will remember what you do here today because history will remember it too, and all eyes are on you. I oppose this map, I oppose this process, and I oppose what it says about the value of Latino lives in the state of Texas. I urge you to vote against this rigged map. Thank you.
The chair recognizes Ms. Lopez in support of HB 4.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'll make this short and simple. I'll speak in Spanish and in English. So today, I just want to come to you as someone from the Rio Grande Valley, myself in South Texas. I am in support of this bill. I think it's good for Texas and it's good for South Texas as well.
Mr. Speaker?
In Spanish.
Ms. Gomez, for what purpose?
Would the gentlelady yield for questions?
Does the
Not at this
gentlelady yield
moment.
for questions? Not at this time.
So se oye hablar mucho del Río Grande en el Valle. Yo soy del Río Grande. Yo también dejé el Partido Demócrata. Este mapa es bueno para Texas, es bueno para el Valle y apoyo este mapa como hispana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, will the gentlelady yield for questions or does she flee?
Ms. Gomez, for what purpose?
Will the gentlelady yield for questions or does she flee?
The gentlelady has yielded the front microphone. The chair recognizes Ms. Rose in opposition to HB 4.
Eventually, they're going to take their final vote on it. But as you can see, there's still some debate going on. This is a bill to redraw the Texas congressional maps so that presumably Republicans would get 5 more members of the U.S. House from Texas.
Chair recognizes
Oh, they turned off the volume. Something going on. They already had one vote that we saw. That was the initial vote. They have to have one more vote.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, we're about to vote on these new congressional maps, and the maps do not seek to make our districts more balanced or fair. What it does, and it's not about voters. These maps are about silencing communities. It was designated that way. These maps before us diminish the voting power of Black and brown communities who have fought for generations for that access and that power. Our parents and grandparents sacrificed so that we could have a voice in democracy, so that our neighbors, our churches, our schools, our business, all could be represented in this chamber. And I know that may be foreign to you all, especially to those who are talking while I'm talking, because you don't care, but there have been sacrifices made. Just because you may not have had to have those sacrifices and you all can't relate to them, we know that sacrifices have been made. And yet, we are here watching those voices be carved up, diluted, and diminished. This is not about lines. This is about lives. When you take away representation, you take away agency, you strip people of their power to fight for health care in their communities, you silence their abilities to demand quality education for their children, and you weaken stances to secure good jobs, fair wages, and safe neighborhoods. For generations, Black and brown people have contributed to the state of Texas. I know you all don't believe that, This building that you sitting in, I hope you all know who built it. For generations, again, black and brown Texans have contributed to the prosperity of this state. We pay taxes, we raise our children, we serve, we worship, and we vote. The message of these maps is clear, that our voices are inconvenient, that our growing strength is something to be contained rather than celebrated. Let me say this plainly. Representation is power. When you deny our representation, you deny us power. You deny us dignity. We are denied the promise of Texas. History is watching us. And I hope you're proud of this part of the history that you will be known for. I will not stand by silently while the progress of generations who have struggled for it to be erased with a pen of a stroke, with the stroke of a pen. Fair maps are not just about politics. They are about justice. They are about equity. They are about whether Texas will be a true state that belongs to us all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The chair recognizes Ms. Pearson to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, first I want to thank Chairman Hunter and Chairman Vasut and the rest of the committee for their tireless work answering the governor's call. Chairman Hunter may not have taken the personal attacks and disrespect personally, but I did. The opposition gets to stand here and grandstand and say pretty much anything that they want, and we're expected to stand here and just take it. You call my voters racist, you call my party racist, but yet we're expected to follow the rules. Well, that double standard ends today. You know, I started out 15 years ago as a concerned citizen, and I became a volunteer activist. I didn't like what I was seeing, so I got involved. The more I learned, the more I dug in, because I was determined to change the trajectory of not just our state, but our country. And I would argue that I did that. From a founding member of the Tea Party movement to fighting on the front lines for President Trump in 2015, long before it was cool, I have traveled all over this country for the better part of a decade, and I can tell you that more and more minority voters are voting their values, not their skin color. And many of them are moving to Texas to escape the blue states because their values have been successfully gerrymandered into suppression. Now, I've heard the accusations that this mid-decade redistricting is going to silence voters and that it misrepresents the population of Texas. But history tells a different story. We are not the first state to do mid-decade redistricting, and we didn't invent the playbook. But who led the way? Blue states, the ones that you all fled to. The very party today crying foul, and the same party that's saying that they want a fair fight is the party that's pushing boys into girls' sports. They say we're diluting the minority districts. They call us racist, but the facts don't match your rhetoric. Texas currently has 0 black CVAP districts, and under the new map, there are 2. Now, I haven't been to 3rd grade in a really long time, but when you go from 0 to 2, that's an increase. Or perhaps you're using liberal logic. I have heard repeatedly that these maps are gerrymandered, but that doesn't fit the narrative either. That's just spin. Because in many parts of the state, the map eliminates gerrymandering. They emphasize compactness in whole counties and whole cities. Political performance isn't just legal, it is fair. And it reflects the voters of the state of Texas. The reality is, the opposition is complaining that we are ungerrymandering the gerrymandering. Another complaint that I've heard is that we're silencing public input. But let me be clear. I sat through over 46 hours of public testimony. I listened, I traveled, and I heard the voices. And those voices are reflected in this map if you actually look at the map. But I understand the frustration. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle, they're struggling right now. Because the fact is, President Trump won Hispanic voters in the state of Texas. I get it, you don't like that. And to address my colleague earlier who asked the chairman if he knew that blacks fled during slavery, well, they did, and they fled to Republican states. Another fact, in 2024, Democrat lost. President Trump won big. So you're upset, and I get it. You're losing at the ballot box, but you will not silence the majority in the state of Texas. You can throw your tantrum, you can leave, you can run, and you can ignore the will of the rest of the voters. But it's honestly time to pick a new narrative. The racist rhetoric is old. It is seriously stale and long overplayed. Newsflash. Democrats do not own minorities in Texas. The South lost. There are black and Hispanic and Asian Republicans right here in this chamber who were all elected just like you. Republicans are the majority. So it's not the people of Texas who are racist, it is you. All of these speeches on victimization and this toxic white guilt that I've had to suffer through my entire life, I'm sick of it. The people of Texas have spoken. We have the majority. President Trump flipped 11 out of 18 counties on the Texas-Mexico border. The people of Texas are sick of the rhetoric as well. He doubled his support from 2020, so political performance is the driver. You lost. Get over it. I urge my colleagues to vote in favor of HB 4. Removing gerrymandering is the right thing to do. Increasing minority representation is the right thing to do, and it more accurately reflects the values of Texans. This is long overdue, and we owe it to the people of Texas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, I stand in opposition of HB 4. I have written remarks, but these remarks come straight from my heart. The question I want to ask as we prepare for a final vote on this bill is that, is it worth it? Is it worth it to once again ignore the will of countless Texans saying, no, we don't want this. Let's focus on flood relief. Let's increase access to health care. Let's provide funding for our public schools. There are still bodies being recovered from the flooding, but we are here focusing on maps, not flood relief, not returning the bodies to loved ones, but racist maps, not Texans. During the first call special session, we had 2 weeks to focus on providing flood relief, in which we had no bills on the floor regarding this topic. Not until Democrats broke quorum did a bill magically pop up as the right appealed to its base that Democrats were not doing their job. Even after leaving, my colleagues on the right had the executive power to provide funding for that flood relief at any time, and all it would have taken was a signature by the governor. During the quorum break, I watched my colleagues. I watched you call us liars and instruct your people to go get them. Funny thing is that they found us before the FBI and the state troopers that the speaker claimed was doing everything they could to find us. Some of my colleagues even made it a little easier with their posting. Republicans in this chamber and in the shadows of social media threatened us, shared our home addresses, and even threatened our lives with bomb threats. I watched you all, and let me tell you, my people, black people, fought too hard for this right to vote. And if you know me, you know I do not play political games with y'all in this body, because I know the work we do on this floor speaks life and death into communities across this state. I leave the political games to the ones of you who are setting up your campaigns to run for these new seats. Another power grab on the backs of black representation. People put under surveillance by the FBI. People who had militias formed against them by their elected leadership. Who had to work in a system that changed the rules when they didn't get their way or listen to the will of the people. Doesn't that sound familiar today? I'm not going to make this speech super long because most of the members have already turned their ears off to Texans. I will say this: remember this day, Texas. Remember the meetings you had with members when they could say nothing but "I'm sorry" behind closed doors, but be complicit in allowing a dictator to take over our nation. That's not the United States, and that sure as hell is not Texas. To close, I will ask this, Mr. Speaker, members. I hope you are proud of your policies and how they serve Texans. Is it worth it? You're the ones who have to sleep at night.
Chair recognizes Ms. Hickland. Hickland.
Mr. Speaker, members, I am in favor of this bill. All day we've heard arguments against this bill, and at the core, those arguments come down to two things: race and a person. At every single public hearing, members of Congress have stood up only to insult President Trump and also to insult those who support him. But here's the reality: 242 of Texas' 254 counties decisively voted to elect him. That fact alone shows the will of Texans. And yet the other side keeps saying what we're doing here is racist. But notice this: they are the ones who keep bringing race into the conversation over and over again. It's been their argument at all of our hearings and on the floor today. In doing so, they're making an insulting assumption that someone's political beliefs, that someone's vote, can be predicted simply by the color of their skin. But let's be clear. It's simply not accurate to assume that minorities will always vote one way. We don't have to look any farther than the most recent election for proof. In the state of Texas, 55% of Hispanics voted for our current president. 55% of Asian Americans did the same. And now we're seeing a noticeable shift among African American voters towards Republicans. When we look at the details of the maps and these district lines, they reflect political performance of those areas. Irregular shapes are now more compact, lines drawn on natural boundaries, counties made whole, cities restored. It's more than a person, it's policies. We all campaigned and knocked on doors.
We all heard concerns regarding the border, the economy, law and order, fostering safe communities, eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse in our government. These are the issues that have been championed by President Trump and the policies overwhelmingly supported by Texans. Texans deserve representation that reflects our values, and that is exactly what this bill seeks to accomplish. In this body, we have seen some hard-fought wins, ensuring that only citizens vote, empowering parents to choose their children's education, protecting children from obscenity, defining a woman. Why was that hard? We are proud Texans. We are proud Americans. Let the people choose their elected officials. They did, and this effort is in response to that. Vote for this bill.
Chair recognizes Mr. Hunter to close.
Members, move passage.
The question occurs on final passage of House Bill 4.
Right now.
This is a record vote. Clerk, ring the bell.
They
Mr.
are
Hunter
voting right
aye.
now. This is the vote to finally pass it in the Texas House.
King voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted?
This is it right here. Final passage by the House.
88 ayes and 52 nays. House Bill 4 is finally passed.
They passed it. Texas House has just passed.
Members, the call on the House has expired. The doorkeeper may unlock the doors.
And they're unlocking the doors.
The Speaker's desk is clear. Mr. Guerin moves that the House recess pending the reading and referral of bills and receipt of messages and administrative actions till 10 a.m. Thursday. Is there objection? Chair hears none. The House stands recessed pending the reading and referral of bills, receipt of messages, and administrative actions. The following bills and resolutions on first reading and referral. The clerk will read the bills and resolutions.
HB number 38 by Schofield, relating to the rate at which interest accrues in connection with the deferral of abatement of collection of ad valorem tax.
The Texas House has just passed the redrawn congressional maps. So that was they're going to get passed. I think they go to the Senate now and then the governor. But it will. This was the bigger hurdle with the. What happened is, as many of you remember, Democrats, a number of Democratic members of the House had left the state so that there would not be enough people present to have the required number to even have the vote. They were out of the state, I think, for several weeks, and then they came back. I believe, if I remember this right, they came back after California had committed to doing their own redistricting attempt. So California is planning on trying to redraw its maps to give 5 more seats to Democrats to balance the 5 more seats, presumed seats, that Republicans will end up getting from this redistricting. Usually states only redraw their maps once every 10 years or when the party in control of the state changes. Neither of that has happened here. This is the middle of the decade. Republicans have control of the state legislature as they did before in the governorship, but they have taken this measure to redraw the maps to give 5 more seats to Republicans in Texas in the U.S. House. So California has pledged to redraw their own maps. There could be some legal barriers there. They're going to have a special election about it in November. I did see that Governor Newsom posted a short while ago a video addressing Governor Abbott. So I want to show you that right here. Let me show you this. So again, the bill has now passed in the Texas House. Let me just do something real quick, and then I'm going to show you guys what Governor Newsom had to say. And also, I'm going to take some of your comments on the air. I know we've had a very active chat Hang on a second here. But the bill has now passed. All right, give me one moment here. Okay. All right, let me show you what Governor Newsom posted in response to this vote today. He posted it about less than an hour ago. Posted a video. Here, my message to Governor Abbott. All right, here. It says, my message to Governor Abbott. Let me play this for you. This is from, it says, Governor Newsom, Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, can still back off election rigging scheme. Here's what Governor Newsom said today.
If they don't move, if Republicans stand
sorry. You know
back,
what? I'm sorry. I can't play the video because I thought it was a new video from him, but it's taken from somewhere else. So I want to be careful about the rights on this stuff. So it's not his own video. I think he was on a podcast. He said they have an off-ramp. He said, we're only doing our redistricting in response to what they're doing. If Governor Abbott doesn't move forward, he said that I mean, basically what California is saying is they're responding to Texas doing it. Sorry, I thought that was a new video that it was posted on his account, but it was from a different show. But what has just happened again is that the Texas House has passed this new congressional map. Here, let me show you here a headline, a new headline here. Texas Republican-controlled House approves new maps which were called for by President Trump to create more winnable GOP congressional seats. So each state draws its own maps for, every congressional representative in the U.S. House represents a certain district. If you redraw the districts, you can make it so that more Democrats or more Republicans are likely to win. Normally, some states do this in partisan ways called gerrymandering. Some states have independent commissions to do it, but states normally would redraw the maps once every 10 years. Breaking with precedent, Texas, after being called on to do this by President Trump, has just passed in the House, and that was the big obstacle to this. So it will get passed in the state once the governor signs it, and I think maybe the Senate has to vote on it, but that's both going to happen. They will have new maps, new district maps for the 2026 election, which will presumably, if voting goes as predicted, presumably that will result in 5 more Republican House reps in the U.S. House from Texas. So the U.S. Republicans currently have a small majority in the U.S. House. off the top of my head, I think there's about 7 more Republicans than Democrats in the U.S. House. It's close. So it's supposed to be a close election. So a few seats either way could determine who controls the U.S. House of Representatives. If Democrats control the House, that's a huge, huge difference politically than if Republicans control the U.S. House. Well, Texas has taken this Trump called on measure now to redraw their maps in the middle of the decade to have more seats likely to go to Republicans. California is saying they're going to try to do this now in response to Texas. They're going to try to do something similar and get 5 more seats to Democrats in California. There are a few other states that might try similar similar measures now. Also now, is this going to, now that states are starting to break this once a decade precedent, are we just going to see many states redraw their maps every 2 years, before every U.S. House election? The entire U.S. House gets elected every 2 years. So is in the states where they don't have independent commissions, in states, and you would need to have presumably a single party control of the state government, where a single party controls the governorship and the House and the Senate in the state, if it's a bicameral legislature. But you have to have a party controlling the legislature and the governorship. But in those states, are we just going to see every 2 years maps redrawn to maximize the number of Republican or Democratic representatives? So I don't, we might be, and certainly we might see more states do this before 2026. Just so you're aware, so the presidential vote, now Republican and Democratic states, some states do this. This is called gerrymandering. For example, Illinois has a map which is drawn to favor Democrats. In Texas, the presidential vote in Texas, if you're wondering, the presidential vote in 2024 was Trump won 56% and Harris won 42.5% roughly. So roughly speaking, if 56 to 42 or so was the breakdown in seats, there are 38 House seats in Texas. If you just took 56% of those and gave them to the Republican and 42% and gave it to the Democrat, by my math, you'd have it be 22 Republican, 16 Democrat. Currently, it is 25 Republican, if I have this right, 25 Republican and 13 Democrat. The projection is that with these new maps, it'll be 30 Republican and 8 Democrat of the 38 seats. I am going to take some of your comments on the air. I do owe a couple thank yous here. First, I want to thank our moderators. We kind of jumped on the air as the debate was happening, so I didn't even get a chance to do that. So let me thank our moderators. We have Janet B. is moderating over there on YouTube. Thank you so much, Janet B. Over on, hold on a second here, Margaret Riley on Facebook. Thank you so much, Margaret, and Paul Anderson moderating over there. On Twitch, we have moderating 13 Alamo, LB Prairie Dawn, I Got That Fire, Matthew Kohai 3, and also Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. Thank you. And I have, I really appreciate all our moderators, and I want to thank for your support. Thank you so much, ZB. That is very generous of you, ZB. I really appreciate your support. Our member, Dances with Wolves, Leon Yoder, PH Survivor 92, AZ Intel's dad, Mitchell Pilot. Thanks for all your support, Mitchell Pilot. Appreciate it. Thanks, PZ Papa Zulu, for your support. Bushcraft, Texas, our members, Loki and Tracy. Also, Martin Gingrich. And DBJ, thank you, and Thorn Ravenstar. Also, shout out on Twitch to Master Mike 881, Wordna 12, Timido 1, and Fifth Survivor. And I've had it on the screen. Let me just, before I take some comments, let me just read a little summary for you. You can see here from Associated Press. Texas Republican-controlled House approves new maps to create more winnable GOP congressional seats. So the Texas Legislature needs to vote on it. But they're voting on the maps in Texas for the U.S. House seats from Texas. I know that can be confusing. Texas Republicans today took the first step, and again, I believe the rest of it's just going to be a formality. Texas Republicans took the first step toward approving new congressional maps that would give their party as many as 5 new seats in the U.S. House, spurring, and this is really a big part of this, spurring what is likely to be a national battle over redistricting. We're not just talking about Texas. California is going to jump in. Are other states going to jump in? The approval by the Texas House came at the urging of President Trump, who pushed for the extraordinary mid-decade revision of congressional maps to give his party a better chance at holding on to the U.S. House of Representatives in the 2026 midterm elections. The maps need to be approved by the state Senate and Republican Governor Abbott. Again, those should just be formalities at this point. The Texas House had presented the best chance for Democrats to derail the redraw. Democratic legislators had delayed the vote by 2 weeks by fleeing Texas earlier this month in protest. They were assigned round-the-clock police monitoring upon their return to ensure they attended today's session. This move in Texas is likely to prompt California's Democratic-controlled state legislature this week to approve a new House map there, creating 5 new Democratic-leaning districts, but the California map would require voter approval in November. There's supposed to be a special election in California to approve that redraw. Democrats have also vowed to challenge the new Texas map in court and complained that Republicans made the political power move before passing legislation responding to deadly floods that swept the state last month. I presume in the rest of the special session that, oh, hold on, one of the Democratic representatives is speaking right now. The Democrats are speaking right now in Texas. I just saw that. Sorry, I just saw it. Let me get that on the screen for you. Hold on a second here. Hang on.
In the face of pressure from these same forces that passed this map. Universities, news media, corporations. We saw something this week that shows a very different response. We saw one person, in the face of everything that was coming at us, simply say, no. Not me. Y'all can do what you want to do, but not me. I'm going to stand up, whatever it takes. And her example and her courage has inspired a nation and, in fact, a world as people see what she has done and what she has triggered and inspired through her conduct. She's loose. She's out. She's Nicole Collier.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I want to cry, but I'm too angry. I want to cry, but I'm too furious. I want to cry because I'm mad, but I'm too mad. What happened today was hard. It was hard. It was hard to sit through the hypocrisy.
Yeah, that's right.
The lies.
Yeah.
The way that they try to silence our voices. It's hard. My feet hurt. My back aches. But I think about the people who have no home, have no bed to sleep in, who have no job to work at. I think about the people who don't earn livable wages. I think about the people who don't have health care. I can fix my back. But what are we going to do for them?
That's right.
Amen. What are we going to do? We got to fight.
That's right. Yeah.
Right. The fact that I'm still mad, angry, and furious means that I still want to fight. Today is not the end.
That's right.
It is the start of a new beginning of the new Democratic Party where we won't back down. We won't put up with their shit. And we will push and push and push until we take over this country. We are the people. We are the party who are powered by the people. We are the party who stand out for our LGBTQ people. We stand up for black and brown and Asian, all people. I think about, I won't give up because I think about Benny, Zen, Chase. I think about all the little children. I think about our children. And they need somebody to stand up for them. They need you to stand up for them. So we can't give up. There's no option. That is not an option. The only way to go is forward. And we got to go forward together. And we got to keep that grit. Sometimes it's hard to stand alone. It may take a while for others to get on board, but don't doubt yourself. If you believe it, do it. Believe it, do it. You may be the only one, but you must do it. You must trust your instincts and move forward. Vice President Kamala Harris, that was the best thing that she told me. Keep going. So you know what? I won't cry today. I won't cry for Texas. I'm going to shout for Benny. I'm going to shout for Zen. I'm going to shout for Baker. I'm going to shout for Chase. I'm going to shout for all of you. We're going to shout that we won't back down. We're going to continue to move forward, and we're going to continue to fight. Because when we fight, we win.
Give it up for Nicole one more time. So one of the things that we've talked about is what a sham process this was. That they never had any intention of listening to the people. That it was a dog and pony show without a dog and a pony.
They need to fix the camera angle, sorry.
The person who was charged with being the vice chair of the redistricting committee and who sat through it all and was a constant voice for justice and fairness through this process was Representative John Rosenthal. John.
Hi, y'all. I'm John Rosenthal, and I'm going to start out by saying I try to live a life without regret, My regret today is that I have to speak after Nicole Collier. But I'm also the ranking Democrat on the redistricting committee, a committee that didn't even see fit to meet during the regular session. There was nothing in front of us. So I'm an engineer by trade. I'm very process driven, like literally you should see me make coffee in the morning. But this process, y'all, was a total sham from the very beginning. And I don't know if you saw some of the questions I asked on the House floor today, but if these folks can redraw the lines and change the districts in this state in the span of just a few weeks, they could do it in front of every election. So let me point out the hypocrisy of the Republican leadership in this state. Over and over, they have said Democrats are obstructing the process. They criticized us for the quorum break because they said we were blocking aid to Central Texas for the victims of a historic tragedy of biblical proportions. They blame us for that. Here we are back in the second special session. Have we heard even one bill on the House floor? No. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would be working on disaster relief today. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would be working on getting rid of the STAR test today. That's on the governor's call. If we were going to do what the people of Texas want us to do, we would put in sensible regulations for hemp and THC products. But that's not what we're doing. The only bill that saw its way to the House floor so far, the last special session and this one, is the redistricting bill. And it's more pernicious than that. It's not just a power grab. It's the fact that because they're going to lose, they want to pick up more votes, but it's the way they're going about it by dismantling black and brown districts. And let's face it, this is a racist power grab that especially goes after our African American representatives in Congress, more than the others. And the Latinos too. My district's 47% Latino, but let me tell you, when you look at who they're taking away from us, it's the black and brown voices. That's right. Literally, the result of this is that millions of Texans are going to have their voices diminished, and they will lose the ability to select a candidate of their choice. So I've already talked too long. My last words are, there ain't no power like the power of the people, and the power of the people don't stop. And the power of the people, we cannot abide by this. So we need to stand up, fight back. So when democracy is under attack, what do? Stand up!
Thank you, John. And Representative referenced the fact that it is predominantly black and brown communities that are being sliced and diced by this map. And one of the clearest and most consistent voices through this whole process has been the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus. And I want to bring up next the chair of that caucus, Ramon Romero, please.
Hey.
Thank you all. I want Barbara Gervin Hawkins, the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, to stand with me as we stand hand in hand, because we know the importance of the black-brown unity that is like never galvanized in this state. And it's a demonstration here to stand here because this is what it's going to take in order to continue this march that we started weeks ago to demonstrate to the American people how important it is to have unity behind the people, atrás del pueblo. Qué importante es ser unidos con nuestros amigos en la comunidad afroamericana. I can tell you that we all witnessed over the last few days the sacrifice that my colleague from Fort Worth said, and Nicole Collier, what she demonstrated to all the world, the sacrifice and what it's worth for you, the people, in Spanish, the pueblo. We all sacrificed so much in leaving our families and going across the country to start this march. And as we said before, that was a small price to pay for America and for American democracy. So And as our caucus leader said, the march continues on. Now it is up to the people, up to you, everyone watching, to demonstrate and reject this hate that we saw today. As the chairman of the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, I am proud that we have now become the largest demographic in this very state that we are in, but we do not represent the lion's share of the representation in this state. Así es que todos los latinos que están poniendo atención y que le están diciendo que ahora que ellos votaron 11 de 18 distritos por la frontera y que están orgullosos los republicanos que porque ustedes votaron para ellos, deberían de ser ahorita momentos de vergüenza que ellos están burlando de nosotros, que nos lavaron el coco y que nos dijeron que el precio del huevo va a bajar, que la gasolina va a bajar. Y ahorita las tiendas están vacías, los trabajos están sin los trabajadores, las casas no se completan, todos los precios están subiendo y no nos vamos a dejar de nuevo. In English, we know that right now we were sold a bill of goods. Eggs have not gone down. Gas has not gone down. The job sites are empty. We keep reading about our border communities. Their stores are empty. We will not allow ourselves to be fooled again. We're not going to allow them to continue to perpetuate a false narrative that Latinos are voting for Trump. They did. And right underneath them, they continued overwhelmingly to vote for Henry Cuellar, Veronica Escobar, Sylvia Garcia. Our people vote Democrat, they always have, and they are going to show up in 2026 like never before to demonstrate that while they might have changed these maps in our congressional districts, while this is the state that is already the most gerrymandered of so many, 62-88, we are watching as our own families are being deported. We are not comfortable with hundreds of thousands of people about to get put in private for-profit prisons in our communities. This is what hate looks like. Esto es como se ve el odio. Cuando la gente empiezan a crear y hacer cárceles en nuestras propias comunidades y poner hijos y hijas en esas cárceles y decir que esto es lo que nosotros queríamos. No es cierto. Y no nos vamos a dejar que continúe esta plática, esta burla de nuestra comunidad. Por eso nos unimos, afroamericanos, latinos, asiáticos, todos, en este momento, como nunca, y nunca dejarnos ser burlados de nuevo. Lo que importa más que nada, what's the most important, is while they might have passed these maps for the Congress, the statewide ain't going to get away with it.
That's right.
Governor Abbott brought this to the state of Texas when he refused to say no.
Yep. That's right.
He cannot escape all the people of Texas, and especially the Latino and African American community that's united greater than ever.
I want to say this. Our sister Nicole Collier stood on principle, and we as a people must stand on principle. She stayed there because she was determined not to be undermined or treated less than. I want to be clear. We've done our part of the race. We brought attention to America. We've done our part of the race in terms of getting our legal involved. We've done our part of the race through today. Guess what? We need all of y'all to join us nationwide. It's time for the ground game.
Right.
It's time for the people to come and turn out to vote. 5.8 million Democrats didn't vote last time. Guess what? We need to grab them and get them involved. It ain't about what the reps can do. We now need power to the people. Power to the people.
Thank you all so much. And we have one more speaker who is in a very tough district and yet has shown courage. What? What I do?
Call me out like that.
No, it's all. I'm being honest. You stood with that. You stood where you needed to be standing to make a statement about where we were going. And she is also the vice chair of the caucus. And Mihaela Plesa, would you take us down the road to the end?
Thank you, everybody, for coming. My name is Mihaela Plisa, and I proudly serve as the Vice Chair of the House Democratic Caucus. I normally would say, welcome to your state capital. But today, this capital didn't belong to Texans. Today, Governor Abbott sold our state capital to Donald Trump. And as a native Texan, it's a dark day in Texas history. Because if you're a member of a minority community, if you're Hispanic, if you're African American, if you're Asian, if you come from an immigrant family like mine, today your voice, your vote has been silenced. Make no mistake of it.
That's right.
And they did it blatantly. They did it without shame, without embarrassment, because they thought they were entitled to it. Sorry. Today we might have been stricken down. Today we might feel like their knees are on our necks. But let me tell you something, like that sign says over there, Texas is not red, it's rigged. And they proved that today by putting redistricting as the first bill of the second called special session. Let me tell you something. They had to lock us in a chamber. They locked my colleague, courageous Nicole Collier, on the House floor because they're so afraid. They're afraid of districts like mine in Southwest Collin County, that they put $4 million in my race. I had $500,000, and we won. We won! Because when we talk to the people about the things that really matter, public education, health care, access to a good job and a good pension, they can't match us. And they're afraid because they have been selling out our state ever since they took power 30 years ago. We might feel like we were stricken down today, but this battle is not over. The next battlefield is the courts, and we will win there. And then we take the battlefield to the ballot box. And we will win, and that's why they're scared. And I'm just going to end with this. A favorite quote of mine from one of the best fighters against evil, Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he said, when we get struck down, what? We will rise up more powerful than they could ever imagine. Are y'all ready to take our power back? Are y'all ready to register voters? Are y'all ready to go out and vote and show them why they should be afraid? If you're ready to get to work, let's get to work, Texas, and let's take our state back from these corrupt, crooked politicians. Because look, I stand here with statesmen, not politicians, and you know what the difference is? A politician thinks about their next election, and statesmen, statespeople, my bad, we think about the next generation. That's right. Let's get to work, Texas.
All right. Before we wrap up and take questions, just want to say one last thing. And that is, I hope that each and every one of you knows the gratitude that we feel to each and every one of you for what you did.
Thank you.
At the very outset of this, everybody was like, oh, why are you fighting? You're just going to lose. They're just going to pass the map. But you know what? There was no loss. Because what you did is you ignited a movement across this country that is going to change this country forever.
Yeah.
And what I say is that, what do they say? Never doubt that a small group of committed people can change the world. Because Exactly. That's the only thing that ever does. So thank you all so much, and now we'll open it up for questions, Mr. Chairman.
We'll do questions for a little bit. Yeah, that's not to be hyper-technical. The lawsuit is, as soon as we get it out of the House, there will be stuff, the beginning process of getting court documents to the court, but really the suit can't commence until the governor signs it. Right, so, but we're looking forward to taking this to the courts as fast as possible.
How do you anticipate today's amendments, speeches, questions will help in that litigation?
Yeah. I think it's been, we've talked about it over and over again. Everything that we do in this case, or I'm sorry, on this bill, from testimony in the hearings, how the hearings are set up, the fact they did this during a special session, how they conducted, where they conducted hearings, all of it, everything is a point to the courts. What the courts are looking for are the irregularities, you know, this is not a normal process. They're trying to do something sneaky, and this is very obviously that. And they have laid that out as clearly as they could for the courts. We didn't have to do that. The Republicans themselves provided the absolute best evidence for their own corruption. And what it is you have a mid-cycle redistricting that, one, really no one else has done except Texas. Two, that they could have handled this in the regular session, had proper hearings, done all the stuff, and then let the public and the membership know what's going on. Instead, they chose to conduct this only in the special session, knowing that the special session rules would allow them to get away with having basically next to no hearings and having no public input and having no notice to the public. The point of what they're trying to do is to do it in the dark. Is to hide it from the American people, because as you have seen in the last 2 weeks, because of the fire we lit across this country, Americans across the board all say this is corrupt. This should be illegal. Like, no one should be doing this. And they say this is not the way America works. And so they have laid out the best evidence against themselves.
So, Representative, what comes next? I know you were talking about the courts, the lawsuit, what else?
So one of the main things is what we have done in the last 2 weeks. People keep saying, like, if you're going to have to fight this, if you knew that you want to fight this, why go out and talk? Why do this? Why go to New York? Why go to California? And a lot of times my easy answer is you wouldn't be interviewing me right now if we had not. Right? And people always say, people have made the comparison to the Alamo. Why did they stay and fight? What did it matter? What did those few sacrifices mean? Because it inspired a nation. It inspired people to get up and fight. It inspired people to try to take action, and inspired people to say, like, it is now in my control. I have to do this. I have to join in. And that's what we've said across the board, and that's what we will continue to do. This fight heads into the courts. This fight heads into the ballot box. But our group, we are continuing to be the messengers, to tell the rest of the nation, to warn anybody who has not heard the message yet. If you want to take your country back, if you want this country to work for everyday people, you have to get off your ass.
I think that's a good note to end on, folks. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for coming. People will be available for individual interviews.
Right.
So thank you all.
All right, that was Texas House Democrats after the Texas House Republicans passed this redrawing of the congressional maps in Texas to give presumably 5 more Republican seats in the U.S. House from Texas by redrawing those maps. The Texas Senate and then the governor have to approve it too, but that's going to happen. So The biggest hurdle for this was in the Texas House, and as we saw earlier, it just got passed today. And thank you, by the way, to Crazy Yoda. I really appreciate your support, Crazy Yoda. So let's talk about this. Take some comments from you guys, too. You can see here this headline. Hold on. Coming up. Texas Republicans approve Trump-backed congressional map to protect party's majority in the U.S. House. Texas legislators today approved a new state congressional map drawn at the behest of President Trump to flip 5 Democratic-held U.S. House seats in next year's midterm elections after dozens of Democratic lawmakers ended a 2-week walkout that had temporarily blocked passage. Republican legislators who have dominated Texas politics for over 2 decades have undertaken a rare mid-decade redistricting to help Trump improve their party's odds of preserving its narrow U.S. House of Representatives majority amid political headwinds. Final passage of the bill will require another vote. Oh, no. The House has already done their final vote. The Senate, the map, which will have to be reconciled with the Senate's version in the state, has triggered a national redistricting war, with governors of both parties threatening to initiate similar efforts in other states. Democratic California Governor Gavin Newsom is advancing an effort to redraw his state's map to flip 5 Republican state seats to Democrat. Democratic-controlled California is the nation's most populous state, while Republican-held Texas is the second most populous state. The Texas map would shift conservative voters into districts currently held by Democrats and combine some districts that Democrats hold. Other Republican states, including Ohio, Florida, Indiana, and Missouri, are moving forward with or considering their own redistricting efforts, as are Democratic states such as Maryland and Illinois. And as we said, redistricting typically occurs every 10 years after the U.S. Census to account for population changes, and mid-decade redistricting has historically been unusual. Whenever the maps are drawn in many states, lawmakers manipulate the lines to favor their party over the opposition, a practice known as gerrymandering. And the current U.S. House balance of power, you can see it right here. I'll show you. If it loads, there are 219 Republicans, 212 Democrats, and 4 vacancies. 3 of those vacancies, I think, are due to, 3 Democrats have passed away in office, and then 1 Republican resigned. So this very well could be a very close election where every seat matters. It could be a 1-seat difference in who controls the U.S. House. All right, so I want to take some comments from you guys. But I did think it was interesting to see, we were watching some of the debate before in the Texas House. We saw both Democrats and Republicans speaking about this. Some of our viewers like it, some don't. Our viewer Brian says, love this outstanding news. Our viewer HLVE says, just Republicans trying to steal an election. Denise Barajas says, I live in Texas and still a proud fighting, protesting Democrat. It is now coming to your cities. Tom Mix says Democrats have already gerrymandered blue states nearly to the max. Such a joke. Our viewer Mike S. says, let's go. Our viewer Texas House Brian Rogers says, if you're okay with the government imposing this without the people agreeing, you'd love Russia. Fox and Sock says, do people not see the hate developing in this country, no matter what side we are, all people? Now, the Washington Post had an article today about other states that might redistrict. So, you know, not every state can redistrict like this. You need to have, some states have independent commissions that are empowered to draw the maps. Also, in some states, you need to have one party control the legislature, and they have to control, and the governorship. They have to control all of the state government, and by such a margin that they could go through with this. So, you know, there's different reasons that different states can't do this, but certain states seem to be the more likely candidates to do it. So Texas is doing it, as we have seen today. California, the Washington Post says California was the second state to jump into the redistricting battle. Governor Newsom and Democrats have proposed a new map that would switch, is intended to give Democrats 5 more seats in California to balance the 5 in Texas going to Republicans, presumably. The Post says implementing any new maps off schedule in California will not be as easy as in Texas. California normally uses an independent commission to draw congressional and state legislative districts, which was put in place to make map drawing less political. If they're not going to use this independent commission, Democrats need permission from voters, and the state is going to have presumably a special election in November 4th for voters to approve this redistricting in California. Some of the other states mentioned are Indiana. Currently, Indiana has, if I have this right, Indiana could do it. I have to go to the different seats. I think it's 2 Democrats in Indiana. Not Indy. Yeah, so in Indiana, it's 7 Republicans and 2 Democrats currently in Indiana. So the most they could redistrict in Indiana is 2. Oh, and also the Washington Post says that J.D. Vance, vice president, visited GOP-controlled Indiana this month to discuss redrawing its congressional map, which could net Republicans 1 more seat. So, again, according to the Post, if they did it in Indiana, it would get 1 more seat. There's only 2 Democratic seats in Indiana. Ohio also has redistricting on the table this year. The Ohio representatives, I don't know. I'm looking at that right now here on the screen on Wikipedia. Ohio has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Democrats and 10 Republicans. I don't know if I'm counting this right, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Democrats. So I don't know, given how things lay out in Ohio, how many seats they might pick up through redistricting. Illinois might redistrict or try to redistrict more towards Democrats, But Democrats already have 14 of the 17 seats in Illinois. The Post says in Missouri, Republicans might try to squeeze an additional one red seat there. So, and then in Florida, Washington Post says there might be a movement toward it in Florida, but the Florida state constitution has a fair districts amendment that says districts cannot be drawn to favor any one political party, and changes to the map could be challenged in court. So, anyways, we'll have to see what happens in other states. This article, now there may be others. There was an article again by the Washington Post, and they just talked about those states as the states that they thought were the most likely to redistrict or try to. Thanks to HLVE for your support, by the way. HLVE thinks there should be a federal law that prevents mid-decade redistricting, and any changes should be sent through independent commissions. You know, in theory, there could be a federal law against, well, actually, I don't know about this because I believe, that's an interesting question. So I believe the Constitution gives the states the ability, the states the right to control elections. But could there be a federal law be passed against gerrymandering, which would be constitutional? That, or would each state have to pass it? That I don't know. I am not a constitutional law expert. But my thought is maybe because the Constitution gives states power to conduct elections. But there have been federal laws about elections, like the Voting Rights Act. So, oh, I'm seeing here that, hold on a second here. For example, I did a quick lookup of this, and I guess, hold on. So you can see Congress, Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution. Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations. So the times, places, and manner of holding elections by senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations. So maybe that gives them the power to make such laws. Again, I am not... Also, I looked up, I found an article here that said that in the 14th Amendment, powers given to Congress to enforce its provisions like the Equal Protection Clause, and that could be legal justification to address gerrymandering. Anyways, I don't know. I don't think a national law against gerrymandering is going to pass anytime soon. But it's an interesting constitutional question. Thank you also, Crazy Yoda, for your support. I really appreciate that, Crazy Yoda. Manny Yanora thinks that Congress should pass a law about gerrymandering and also pass a voter ID requirement and no mail-in ballots. Thank you, Mitchell Pilot, for all your support too. I really appreciate that, Mitchell Pilot. Greg Carlisle, our viewer, says gerrymandering happens from both parties. Come on, people. It's not a one-sided thing. Where this Texas move was different is normally you do not have mid-decade redistricting. Normally it happens once every 10 years. Now, maybe now that Texas has done this, and California in response says they're going to do it, maybe now that precedent is done with. Governor Newsom just posted, let me show you what Governor Newsom just posted. In California. He just posted he said, it's on, see you in November. He was saying that if Texas did if Texas did this, California was going to do this. So he's talking about the California special election to allow, to approve, where the public would be asked to approve redistricting in California. Garlic says, when is it getting voted on the Texas Senate? I don't know. One of our viewers, Carter Davis, thought it was getting voted on, thought it was getting debated in the Senate on Friday. I'm not sure about this. That's what Carter Davis thought. All right, hold on a moment here. I saw something also today I wanted to mention about this from, if I can find it for you. Yes, Barack Obama posted about this today. Here's what former President Obama said about this issue. Oops. If I can pull it up on the screen for you. He said, over the long term, we shouldn't have political gerrymandering in America. Just a fair fight between Republicans and Democrats based on who's got better ideas. But since Texas is taking direction from a partisan White House and gerrymandering in the middle of a decade to try and maintain the House despite their unpopular policies, Obama says, I have tremendous respect for how Governor Newsom has approached this. He's put forward a smart, measured approach in California designed to address a very particular problem at a very particular moment in time. So I believe that the California redistricting measure, if passed, would last until 2030, I believe it is. I believe that, if I remember right. Now that might not be exactly what Obama was talking about, but I know that's one thing. Maybe he's talking about the fact that it's going to the voters in California. I don't know. Here, and then this is, again, a big question now is, so are we going to see this around the country now? You can see AP says redistricting becomes a tool nationwide in battle for the U.S. House. The Republican power play has already triggered a national tit-for-tat battle as Democratic state lawmakers prepare to gather in California on Thursday, tomorrow, to revise that state's map to create 5 new Democratic seats. Governor Newsom said today, this is a new Democratic Party, this is a new day, this is new energy out there across the country, all across the country, and we're going to fight fire with fire. A new California map would need to be approved by voters in a special election in November because California normally has a nonpartisan commission drawing the map to avoid the very sort of political brawl that is playing out. Newsom himself backed the 2008 ballot measure to create that process, as did former President Obama. But in a sign of Democrats' stiffening resolve, Obama today, or last night, backed Newsom's bid to redraw the California map, saying it was a necessary step to stave off the GOP's Texas move. The incumbent president's party normally loses seats in the midterm election, and the Republicans currently control the House by a mere 3 votes because it's 219 to 212. So if they lost 4 seats, if the 4 seats got flipped, then it would be a Democratic majority. Trump is going beyond Texas in his push to remake the map. He has pushed Republican leaders in conservative states like Indiana and Missouri to also try to create new Republican seats. Ohio Republicans were already revising their map before Texas moved. Democrats, meanwhile, are mulling reopening Maryland's and New York's maps as well, also maybe Illinois. However, more Democratic-run states have commission systems like California's or other redistricting limits than Republican ones do, leaving the GOP with a freer hand to swiftly redraw maps. New York, for example, can't draw new maps until 2028, and even then only with voter approval. I don't know what the schedule for the redistricting in other states is aside from California. So I can't tell you about the Missouri and Indiana and Maryland if they try something in Illinois. USA Trump thinks GOP won't lose a seat in this midterm. By the way, thanks to Eddie C., our member. Thanks also Big Dog Gaming for your support, and Edu Makashun, and Master Mike 881. Look, it could turn out. It could turn out that that the House election next year is decided. That who controls the House is changed by these redistricting measures. And, you know, if the Democrats control the House, that makes a huge difference. Remember, any legislation that Trump wants to pass needs to get passed by the House and the Senate, for example. So a Democratic majority House could block any legislation, for just as an example. Thank you to Matt Morgan for the memberships. That's really nice of you, Matt. I appreciate that. RAS Illusion, our viewer, thinks that Democrats cannot win this nationally. They already over gerrymandered by a good bit. One of our viewers, Relaxation Time, thinks it's going down in Texas and Oregon. I am not sure. The Washington Post said in their article today, ordinarily states draw new lines once a decade after each census to ensure their districts have equal populations. How those lines are drawn can give one political party a huge advantage over the other. Republicans currently hold a 219 to 212 U.S. House majority with 4 vacancies. Says the Post, even small shifts in the map could tip control of Congress. A Democratic House majority could impede President Trump's agenda and would give the Democrats the ability to launch investigations into his administration. Yeah, if California passes redistricting and it's approved in this special election in November, that map would be in effect for 2026, 2028, and 2030. Republican state lawmakers in California did file a lawsuit yesterday asking the state Supreme Court to block Democrats from moving forward this week. We'll see what happens with that. Thanks, Michael Burmester, our member. Also, you know what else I wonder? I wonder if in some states where they have independent commissions, you know, if one party controls the state government, will they try to get rid of the independent commission? I would think there's going to be pressure on every single state to start gerrymandering their seats as much as you can. Now, voters in a state might not approve that, which is fine, you know, so, but again, it seems that at least for now, the custom of only doing this once every 10 years has gone away. Our viewer Dickie Seamus thinks Putin is winning so hard. Jen's Crunchy Vac says slippery slope. Some have called for different systems, like proportional representation. I saw an article about proportional representation today. Was that in the Post? Were they had a little article about that? Hold on, see if I can find it here. Oh, I don't know. That might have been I think they might have had an editorial about it. But again, one way you could do it is you could just say, look at, in a given state, people, they don't vote for representative, they vote Republican, or they just vote for party. And then you award the number of seats based on the percentage of votes. You know, some countries have that kind of system. I believe in Israel, their House of Representatives in Israel is, if I remember this right, you vote for a party. Their parliament in Israel, the parliament in Israel, I think it's one, isn't it one unicameral, one house in Israel? But when they have the elections, people vote by party, and then the number of seats each party gets depends on the total number, the percentage of vote the party got in the country. Thank you again, Michael Burmester, for the gift membership. ZZ says the custom of every 10 years isn't real. At least 4 other states have done this in the past. Well, I do know that one way customarily this custom has been broken is when the control of a state government switches in the middle of a decade. So, for example, if one party controlled the state legislature and then that switched in an election in the middle of a decade, then, from what I understand, it would be a custom that, or it would not be rare for the new party in control to do some redistricting in the middle of the decade. But those are the two circumstances where it usually would happen. A switch of power in the state government or the census, the 10-year census. So this could, I mean, really change how House elections are going forth in the U.S. The New York Times says as soon as tomorrow night, the state Senate will vote on this, and then by the end of the week, Greg Abbott was expected to sign it. Or at least get it. I assume he'll sign it quickly. And the New York Times says, just mentioning other states that we've talked about that might have redistricting, they say for Republican states, you might see movements toward it in Indiana, Missouri, and Florida. We already know California is going to try and do it. Perhaps Illinois, Maryland before 2026, and New York before 2028. Our viewer John Dunn says this needs to be independent, and that will never happen, unfortunately. But popping this up now, not a good look. Cheating like that, thinks our viewer John Dunn. Oh, thanks to Jay Stubbles, who just gave 5 people subscriptions on Twitch. Make sure you thank Jay Stubbles if you got a gift subscription. Thank you. Hollywood Fish thinks this is great news. Our viewer, Red Screech, thinks the Texas GOP made a severe miscalculation, and the response from Dems is going to be spectacular. So we might be doing more redistricting coverage in the future. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, I think we're getting almost to that time. I think we're about getting to that time. Well, we saw the approval, we saw the vote, we watched some of the debate, we saw the... If I had had a Republican press conference afterwards, I would have showed it to you. I only had access to a Democrat one. I don't know if there was a Republican one. But I showed you what I have. Anyways. Waltham says, thank you for your attention to this matter. I wonder if President Trump has posted after this vote in the House. I haven't seen it here. Anyways. So I think we're going to start wrapping up this live stream. But I really appreciate you guys joining us for our live coverage of this vote in Texas, in the Texas House. They have passed it now, so it should be smooth sailing for this redistricting. And our viewer, Paula Thompson, thinks it will almost definitely pass in California. So we'll see if we end up doing more redistricting coverage. But I'm glad we got to bring you the coverage. And also, I thought it was interesting to watch some of that debate in the Texas House before they had the votes. So I think it's a very important story. And it's important also because now that this has happened, you're going to be seeing it in other states. How often, I don't know. Thanks to Maria Madrigal for your support. She says she thinks the boundaries in California are being redrawn based on economics. That I do not know. Thank you, Maria Madrigal. I mean, the chief goal in redrawing in California will be to get more Democratic seats, just like the chief goal in Texas was to get more Republican seats. Thanks so much, Maria. I really appreciate that. This is Agenda Free TV. We cover all kinds of live breaking news without an agenda. If you want, you can subscribe, follow the channel, Agenda Free TV. If there's some kind of big story later tonight, we'll come back on the air and covering it. Nothing is keeping us from doing another stream tonight if there's big news. So I would suggest subscribing, following, and also turn on the notifications. We have a free notifications link, free notifications system that we have set up. You sign up once and you get sent a notification whenever we go live. Sometimes the platform notifications don't work that great, but this works really great, our Discord notifications. The mods will post the link to that in the chat. Also, you can find the link to the free notifications in the description of this video on YouTube and Facebook. But sign up to those so you don't miss a stream. And also, I will post updates, breaking news updates, as I always do, on my X account, which is @Lookner. You can follow me there for breaking news, @Lookner. I'll post a link in the chat. That's on X. But I very much appreciate you tuning in. Also, thanks for letting me read your comments on the air and people who participated in the chat. We had a lot of people in the chat discussing this today. I appreciate that we can have people of different views coming together to discuss things. And you know who that's thanks to? That's thanks to our moderators. They are the ones who keep things under control in the chat, who keep things civil and respectful. We could not have our chat rooms without them. So huge, huge thanks to all of our moderators who have been here today, like Robert's May Queen over there and Janet B over there on YouTube, and our other YouTube moderators. Thank you so much. Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Paul Anderson on Facebook. Thank you all for being there. On Twitch, David Green, LB Prairie Dawn, Matthew Kohai 3. Huge thanks. Linda Belk, Larry, and Misha on X. And all of our other moderators who have been here, thank you. Thanks to CC143 on Twitch, by the way, for your support. And thank you to everybody who donated. Super nice of you guys. I really, really appreciate all of your support for the channel. That's what allows this channel to exist. So huge thanks to you. If you ever want to donate, you go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But greatly, greatly appreciate your support. Let me make sure I got everybody. Hopefully I got everybody. I think I did. I think I did. But again, huge thanks for supporting the channel and letting it exist. Let's see here. Oh, another good way to find out when we're live, if you want, is if you're on X, follow us on X, @AgendaFreeTV. I always post there when we're going live. I post updates about the channel there. Follow over there, @AgendaFreeTV. And we actually have a chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not on the air, the Agenda Free TV Discord chat. It's free. Check it out. It's the same link as the notifications link. A lot of our viewers like doing that. Thanks to our Discord mods, by the way, for all of your help. Thanks, Discord mods. And for those of you on YouTube, I would suggest turning on the YouTube notifications, but it's a little tricky to do that. So if you're a YouTube viewer and you want to make sure you have your notifications on, what you got to do is you need to subscribe to the channel, then click on this bell, and then choose all notifications. So subscribe, click the bell, choose all notifications. That's how you turn on the YouTube notifications. Also, shout out to our Facebook subscribers like Chuck Mosca and Sharon Klassen Goslin for subscribing and supporting the channel. Robert Rial II, Kay Lowry Body, and Margaret Riley. Melissa Terry, our viewer, thinks Barry Eisler, our viewer. Barry thinks the great American experiment is failing. Thanks to Melissa Terry for watching too, over there on Facebook, and all of our Facebook viewers and subscribers, all of our other subscribers on Facebook, thank you. Our Twitch subscribers, shout out to all of you, like Wall Street and Shaggy. Hey, thanks Notorious Rob for resubscribing over there, thank you. Matthew Kohai 3, thanks for subscribing. Douthis, thank you Douthis for subscribing. CC. Thanks to our first time chatter on Twitch, Pitara888. And all of our other subscribers over on Twitch. Thanks for supporting. CC, did I think? Thank you, CC. And our YouTube members. Hey, thanks, YouTube members. People like Sausage and Matt Morgan, JK Cinar, Jens Crunchy Vax, Waltham, Lolly Lollipop, 2-Bit Drifter, Eric Johnson, Don, William Cromer, Spin City GDJs, Chaz Martin, Jen Exer, Lola P, J.K. Sinar Songbird, thanks for being members, Dean R, Tina Marie, Justin King, Eric Johnson, Glenda, JD63, Eddie C, Shawnee Ann, Karen G, thank you. Oh, Jean-Paul LeChance just gave 10 people memberships. That's so nice of you, Jean-Paul. Thank you. Make sure you thank Jean-Paul if you got a new membership. That's really nice of you. Thanks to CAC813, our member. Thanks to Artist Caverlin for watching as well. Billy Anderson, thanks for watching. Rita Evans-Lang, Trisha Lyderson, all of our other Facebook viewers. Billy Joe, thanks for watching over there on Twitch. Gina Pina. Misanthropic, Chips29. Jay Stubbles, Wask 4H, and all of our other viewers. All right, we're wrapping, and our ex-viewers as well. Thanks to our ex-viewers. All right, we're wrapping this up. So, we will keep an eye on future redistricting. We may be covering it again soon. All right, guys, so that is it. You have been watching as we've been covering the Texas House passing this redistricting map, the redrawn congressional maps in Texas, which should result, presumably, if the voting goes as experts assume it will. You never know, though. The voting could go very differently. But presumably this will give 5 more seats to Republicans in Congress from the state of Texas. And that means California is moving forward with their redistricting attempt to redraw their maps to try to give 5 more Democrat seats from California. And we'll see what happens in other states. So that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again to our moderators. We'll see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.